Hey, people of planet Earth. Have you ever noticed that Fallout 4's Feral Ghouls look like melting wax sculptures? Do you wish that they were more fun to fight and had more variants besides glowing or gangrenous ghouls? If so, then I have some mods for you. I looked at 6 different mods. Zombie Walkers, Decay, Better Ghouls, Feral Ghouls Expansion Pack, More Feral Ghouls, a Zombie Mod, FallEvil Zombie Mega Pack, and Fallout 3/New Vegas Feral Ghouls Replacer. Unfortunately, most of these were really damn disappointing. But if there's one that's actually worth using, I'd say it's Feral Ghouls Expansion Pack because it adds plenty of new and interesting Feral Ghoul variants. And it doesn't break anything in the vanilla game as far as I can tell. It certainly isn't anything mind-blowing, but it's the best I could find. But let's go over all of these 6 mods in detail and look at the positives and negatives of each. Zombie Walkers is the first mod we'll talk about. Its main selling point is making feral ghouls walk like Romero-style zombies, which turns me off right away. Personally, I greatly prefer 28 Days Later sprinting zombies over the slow shambling type. To me, a zombie infestation feels a lot less dangerous if you can lightly jog away from it. But maybe I'm in the minority there. Maybe some people like being able to kite around 24 feral ghouls like they're playing Call of Duty Zombies. Regardless, this mod does a whole lot more beyond altering animation speeds. It also changes the name of all feral ghouls to zombie, and it makes their health scale with your level far more closely. Limb and torso damage is reduced, making headshots essential for taking down these zombies. In fact, sometimes I can kill them with one hit to the dome no matter how much health they have left, but other times they can tank multiple hits to the head no problem. Perhaps these instant kill headshots are caused by a script that only triggers inconsistently. More inconsistencies come with the MCM options. There's an option to disable being able to loot zombie corpses, but even with looting turned off, I can still access the loot menu sometimes, but not all the time. I don't understand why anyone would want to disable being able to loot certain enemies in the first place, but that is an option of this mod. There are also options to manipulate zombie health and movement speed, although even at the fastest possible setting of speed 300, they're still significantly slower than vanilla feral ghouls. Zombie Walkers also adds an infection mechanic, but I didn't mess around with it long enough to figure out how it worked. I imagine it's similar to survival mode's diseases and can be cured with antibiotics. So far I've been pretty down on this mod, and I think you can understand why. But there are 2 features of this mod that are interesting. One is the option of spawning extra zombies around the player, and the other is the ability to replace most creatures in the game, as well as many different human factions, with zombies. Don't like the children of Adam? Zombify them. Keep in mind that replacing NPCs will almost certainly break tons of quests, so if you're trying to enjoy a normal playthrough, I would leave all these replacement options disabled. Also note that this mod changes ghoul body part data and their keywords, making it incompatible with various popular mods, including better locational damage and cross crit gore overhaul. The game won't crash if they're loaded alongside each other, but depending on which mod gets loaded last, one mod's changes will overwrite the other, resulting in the latter not working properly. I'd say the best way to avoid problems and incompatibilities is to not bother downloading this mod at all because it doesn't add anything worthwhile. Second, we have the mod Decay, Better Ghouls. I have less to say about this mod, but most of it is positive. At its core, Decay is mainly a retexture and revoice for feral ghouls. And I think these new textures do look a lot better. You can see bloody bones poking out of the ghouls. And the new voices are much more frightening. There's also one new type of ghoul, the Savage Ghoul, which has a very charred appearance, almost like it's been dipped in lava or something. Savage ghouls don't actually have any unique characteristics though, they just look different. If you like the audio visuals of this mod and want to download it, it's essential that you also download its balancing patch, or else ghouls will have an absurd amount of items on their corpses. These new items are for cooking recipes. You're supposed to be able to make food out of ghoul body parts, which would technically be cannibalism, but anyways, these recipes don't work for me. Despite meeting the crafting requirements, the game wouldn't let me cook jack. I don't know, maybe it's a problem on my end. Also, I don't think that cooking and eating former human beings really fits into the moral framework of most characters people are going to build in Fallout 4. Perhaps in a hardcore survival playthrough it makes sense, but otherwise it really doesn't. Luckily, someone else feels the same way, and they made a mod called DECAY Redux that lets you use Decay's textures and sounds without the new crafting items and recipes. If you want to use this mod, I would recommend that version instead. Next up is the mod I recommended, the Feral Ghouls expansion pack. This mod comes with an installer that lets you choose whether you want its new ghoul types added to the leveled lists the old-fashioned way or via a script. I would almost always recommend not using the script injection method because if you do use it, you can never safely uninstall this mod. It's baked into your saves. Additionally, in the installer, you can enable a patch for decay. You'll need to load Decay's balance patch as well. If you're using DECAY Redux, I imagine the patch isn't needed, but I didn't test that myself. Anyways, the reason I recommended this mod is simply because of all the new ghoul types it adds. There are ghouls that crawl at you on all fours, exploders that will knock you down, slashers that use melee weapons, hunched over spitters that throw up acid, pukers that spit up blood, shamblers that have unique walking animations, rotters with gas masks, a feral tank that will fuck your shit up. There are chameleon ghouls, and more. The variety on offer here is truly exceptional. These new ghouls remind me of the special infected from Left 4 Dead. They've all been given fitting animations, they're dismemberable for the most part, and they integrate into the vanilla game quite well. They don't look out of place compared to Bethesda's creations, and the variety ensures that you'll never get bored fighting ghouls again. One last addition I'll mention is a new throwable, the Bile Grenade, craftable at a chemistry station. It explodes into puke, knocking down and damaging anyone nearby. Pretty cool, this mod's great. The next mod is More Feral Ghouls, which has a similar aim to the previous mod, that is, adding more variety to the Commonwealth's ghoul population. But this one is much more restrained. There's no Left 4 Dead style special infected here. Instead we get ghouls that kind of have a similar appearance to the ones from Fallout 3, wearing a large variety of clothing. Military ghouls, vault suit ghouls, shirtless ghouls, female ghouls, stuff like that. The models and textures don't look half bad, but there are problems, of course. Strangely, many of the ghouls still have hair, even though it should have been burned away by radiation. A bigger issue is that most of these guys don't have working dismemberment. You can't blow apart the limbs on nearly all of them. Head dismemberment is enabled for some of them, but that's also inconsistent. And that really sucks. Also, not all of the game's ferals have been replaced, leading to the odd situation of seeing Fallout 4's puffy, bloated ghouls spawning next to this mod's horrifically burned ones. It just doesn't look right. On top of that, for whatever reason, Far Harbor's fog ghouls have been added into the Commonwealth's leveled lists, which makes no sense. What's also weird is the feral ghoul children and babies too. You'd think a baby would be too weak to survive being ghoulified, but maybe not. Funnily enough, feral babies are actually reskins of rad roaches. I laughed my ass off after gibbing one and seeing rad roach parts fly out of it. This mod is just... oh, it's a treat. But no, it's not worth using. It has way too many problems. It's fucking terrible. Second to last, we have FallEvil, the Mega Zombies pack. It adds zombie models from the newer Resident Evil games to replace vanilla feral ghouls. It comes with an installer. The first choice is whether to add female zombies or not. Female zombies are optional because they're not completely finished yet. They're also only integrated into leveled lists via script, so you can't safely uninstall this mod if you choose to add female zombies. Other options are a patch for the Zombie Walkers mod I covered earlier, a behavior plugin that makes zombies move more slowly and disables their leaping attacks, and an option to disable zombie dismemberment because it doesn't look that great. We'll examine that later. Finally, there's also an option to replace the original ghoul sounds with clips taken from Resident Evil and other horror games. I think the new sounds are pretty good, so check this option if you want. Lastly, after installing this mod, you must download the master hotfix file from the Nexus or else the game will crash on startup. Once I got in-game after getting all that figured out, I was impressed by the quality and variety of zombies. There's a lot of different zombie bodies and outfits to match, most taken from the vanilla game. That means some of the outfits look too clean compared to the bloody and filthy appearance of the zombies themselves. Still, this mod blows more feral ghouls out of the park in every regard. Unfortunately, dismemberment on these new models has been compromised. The stumps left behind look terrible and unfinished. At least you still have the option to keep dismemberment enabled, but it doesn't look great. To end on a positive note, this mod is compatible with Feral Ghoul expansion project, so you can have a bunch of new ghoul types alongside these nice looking Resident Evil zombies. Personally though, I'd rather stick with vanilla ghouls to maintain a consistent art style. But that's just me. I think a lot of people will enjoy this mod. The final mod we'll be looking at today is Fallout 3/New Vegas Feral Ghouls Replacer. It does exactly what it says on the tin, replacing Fallout 4's ferals with ones that look like higher quality versions of what we had in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. One good thing about this mod is it doesn't edit anything except meshes and textures, making it very compatible with other mods. These new ghouls look really incredible, and dismemberment is working perfectly. The only issue is variety suffers compared to every other mod I've looked at in this video. Even the vanilla game had more variety than this mod. When you install this mod, DLC ghouls will lose their unique appearance. For example, Nuka World's painted ghouls are no longer covered in paint. It seems like this mod was left uncompleted, sadly. Still, I don't have anything bad to say about what is here. If your only problem with Fallout 4's Feral Ghouls is their appearance, this mod might be the one for you, even though it's not finished. And that's the end of this week's video. I'm sorry I didn't have too many good options to cover, but the pickings were slim this week. Next week I'll probably do some weapon mods. There are thousands of those to go over. Until then, toodles!